All right, hello everyone. This is Richard Carlton with Jesse Barnum.
I'm Jesse Barnum from 360 Works.
360 Works, and we're at DevCon 2015, and we've been talking to the 360 folks about some of the critical niche-filling kind of capabilities that they add to the FileMaker platform, because FileMaker just by itself won't do absolutely everything.
There are a few things that it will not do by itself.
So in this video, what are we going to be talking about?
So I'm going to be talking about CloudMail.
CloudMail.
It's our newest product.
Okay.
We really just came out with it about a month or two ago.
Okay.
So there's still not a lot of people that know about it yet. So we've had a lot of interest at the booth.
I know a lot about your products, but this is one I'm unfamiliar with, so
All
you're
right,
going to have
cool.
to help me out through this. So,
All right, I'll be happy to.
What do you have going?
So CloudMail is about sending more marketing type of emails. We already have our email plugin. So a lot of people are confused about, why do we have another email plugin? But this works in a very different way, and it does a very different thing. This is designed more for managing mailing lists and sending out like broadcast emails, marketing emails, mail list servers, that kind of stuff. And it is much more optimized for sending large batches of emails. It's extremely efficient for sending out hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of emails, whereas our email plugin is really good for sending and receiving individual point-to-point emails. CloudMail does not receive email. It's really just designed to blast out email broadcasts.
Okay.
The other thing that it does that the email plugin doesn't do, which is really useful, is all of the tracking that it does after the fact. It'll tell you how many people you sent to, how many of those were bounced, how many of those emails were opened and viewed, if any links were clicked. It'll tell you, what the link was, who clicked on it, their IP address, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's nice.
And it'll also track if people want to unsubscribe or if they complain.
Yeah.
CloudMail will manage that. It'll keep its own list of people who unsubscribe or complain and make sure that you don't accidentally send to them in the future.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah. So it really makes that whole process a lot easier. This was actually born out of an internal need that we have. We have a mailing list of about 15,000 people. And so we would send that mailing list out, and we were using a third-party service, and it was costing us about $150 every time we sent that list out.
Wow, okay.
And it would also take about 6 hours to send.
Yeah.
So with CloudMail, that same exact list now sends in 4.5 seconds.
Wow.
And it costs about $1.60.
Wow, that's very inexpensive.
Yeah. So it's it's really solving a different sort of need than what we designed our regular email plugin to do.
Now, to be clear, conceptually, this is similar to what we do with Learning FileMaker and the video training.
Yep.
Of course, we rolled our own prior to the invention of your wonderful tool. But it's the same kind of idea where you're going to have a mailing list of people that you need to interact with. And for us, it's every week we send out a free video to people, and the mailing list
I get those emails. They're good.
You do get them. 10,000, 12, 15, 16,000 people. And we're using your plugin, your email plugin, but not your CloudMail solution, and we ended up rolling our own that's integrated to our business now. But it's not really something that someone else could take very easily because it's specific to my operation. But CloudMail is horizontal, so a lot of people could use it.
It's designed to be very easy to add to your solution. I mean, from an API standpoint, it is a traditional FileMaker plugin. You can install it on the server or on client copies of FileMaker Pro. And the API for it is dead simple. It's basically add one or more recipients, set a subject, set an optional plain text content, set an optional HTML text content, and then go.
Wow.
And so it's very, very simple to use.
Can you give us a demo of this?
Sure, yeah. So I don't have a big mailing list in this thing, so I'm only going to be sending to like a dozen emails, but the concept works the same either way. Also, my internet is not that fast at the show, so this actually takes a little bit longer than it normally does, even though I'm sending fewer.
Well, we're here at DevCon, and there's thousands of people running around.
So even though I'm only sending 10 or 11 messages, it actually takes me longer than it does to send 15,000 from my office.
Okay.
So coming into here's the settings. Ordinarily, there's a secret key on the screen. I'm kind of skipping an important part. Let me step back for a second and talk about a high-level architecture about how this works. To use CloudMail, the reason it's called CloudMail is because it uses the Amazon Web Services cloud services to send everything. So we're not sending mail through a traditional mail server at all. We are using HTTPS to batch this stuff up, send it to Amazon, and then Amazon sends it in a queue through their services.
Okay.
You will need your own Amazon Web Services account in order to use this product.
Okay.
So the first step in order to use this is to sign up for a free Amazon Web Services account. During that setup process, you'll get an access key and a secret key, and you come into this screen here in CloudMail, and you'll just copy and paste them in. I've removed the secret key from this screen because it's secret.
Yeah. Okay.
But you put that stuff in there, you click test, we make a check to Amazon, and it's up and running. And here's the IP address of the virtual machine that runs at Amazon that handles all this.
Cool.
Down here, there's a DNS entry thing. We set up this IP address. We set this up so that it's related to cloudmail.360works.com. That way, when people receive our email and there's links to click on, instead of just a raw IP address for them to click on, all the links will say cloudmail.360works.com. It looks a lot less spammy. And then those will then redirect to where you want the links to actually go.
Okay.
And I want to point out, before I get into the actual setting part of this, that this is just our demo file. The way we envision this being used is probably that you would build the plugin into your own solution.
Well, could someone build it into FM Starting Point, for
absolutely.
example?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way we've done this is, we've built what we think is a fairly simple. We did not spend a lot of time, honestly, on trying to make this solution great, because it's not about this FileMaker file. It's about the plugin that this FileMaker file is built on top of.
Okay.
So here's where we set up our campaigns. I've got my test campaign. I've got some HTML in here. This is actually the announcement for CloudMail. And then I also have a plain text version of it.
Okay.
You can do one or the other or both. It's totally up to you.
Right. And we actually cover that in our other 360 video about plugins, or your email plugin.
Yep.
And that is that plain text content is different than HTML content, and emails really need to have both.
I mean, theoretically, they could have completely unrelated messages from each other, although that would be a little bit weird.
But yeah, and so we cover that. So people want to know more about some of our other training and whatnot. I recommend that you look into our video course at learningfilemaker.com. But yeah, this is things that we've starting to see from other videos.
Same concepts that apply from those videos apply here. Yeah. So here's the HTML version. I just want to call your attention to a few things. One is that we've got a few links in here. Let me find the link that I'm looking for. So here's an example of a hyperlink. And notice that this is linking to www.360works.com, where it says Jesse Barnum is president of 360works.com.
Okay.
That's going to be important later, because I'll show you that gets altered by CloudMail.
Okay.
And then down at the bottom here, we've got a section that says unsubscribe. And notice that for the hyperlink there, we've got bracket unsubscribe, all uppercase. That will also be altered by CloudMail.
Okay.
So I just wanted to show you those before I actually send this out.
Okay, sure.
Now we pick our recipients. And so I've got just some test email addresses that I set up for this. I'm also going to send to a Gmail account that I set up for testing purposes.
Sure.
The way this interface works, and again, I don't want to spend time talking about the FileMaker file. It's not that important. It's more about the plugin. But just so you know how this works, we set it up so that every campaign can have multiple tags attached to it.
Right.
And then every recipient can have tags attached to them. And therefore, by putting different people with different tags, you can control which lists they're on, essentially.
Right.
Yeah. You could use this file if you wanted to, or I'm assuming you would probably have your own existing file that you would want to build this into.
Yeah, once again, we're thinking about starting point at that point.
Yes, exactly.
So what do we have to pass to this from starting point? The name of and an email?
Email address, subject, plain text, HTML text. That's all you need.
Okay.
Oh, and obviously your Amazon account information.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great.
So I'm going to go to, so I'm on the mailing list. I'm going to go on my test and send screen. We've got little just preview buttons here that show you what the HTML is actually going to look like.
Okay.
Same thing for text. I can view the recipients just to double check who's getting this so that I know beforehand, as just a last sanity check before I send it accidentally to the wrong people.
Right.
And now I'm going to go ahead and send it. So I'm going to hit send campaign. Confirmation, 11 recipients. I'm going to go ahead and send there. And this is the part that I was saying actually takes longer here than it does from my office.
From your office.
It's slightly faster, but so this was 11 messages queued in 2,852 milliseconds.
Milliseconds, yeah.
3.86 messages per second.
Yeah.
To give you an idea, when I run this at my office, we send 15,400 in about 4.6 seconds.
Wow, that's pretty fast.
Yeah.
So the plugin is talking to Amazon. Amazon's actually sending out the emails for you.
Yes.
Are we going to see the email show up here?
Yes. So what I'm going to do is, sometimes it takes a second or two. There it is already. So I'm going to open up this email. And this is a result of what I just did in FileMaker. So I've already gotten this email in my Gmail account.
Okay.
So remember I showed you those hyperlinks?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to come down here. I mouse over this. Notice that this is not going to 360works.com.
No.
It's going to cloudmail.360works.com.
Okay.
And that CloudMail comes from this. Remember in the settings screen
Right.
we had that set? So that's how that got
Now,
put
are you
into
going to
there.
buy a DNS with, I mean, I'm pretty familiar with Amazon, but I mean, Are you getting an elastic IP with this, or how is this working? I mean,
yeah, what's actually happening when you install the plugin, more things happen than you might realize. And when you install the plugin with the Amazon account that you supply, we actually, on your behalf, with your account, set up a new virtual machine at Amazon. So we're actually spinning up, I mean, to get into the nitty-gritty technical details of it, we're actually spinning up a T1 Micro instance, which is about $9 a month.
Okay.
It's free for the first year, $9 per month after that first year.
Now, is 360 getting billed for that, or
no? This is using the Amazon. And this is all outlined on the web page, so we're very upfront. The pricing is not hidden. We tell you about it on the product page.
Right. So part of setting this up is for us to go and set up our own Amazon account.
Exactly.
And then your plugin actually spins up an instance. So in plain English for everyone, so you understand what's happening. As your plugin spins up the first time, it actually spins up a virtual machine. This is like a server, like a FileMaker server, virtual server. It's up on the cloud. But all it does is this virtual server that sits up in the cloud is going to just do this email handling for you.
Exactly.
That's super clever.
Yeah.
Because you guys are always amazing, but that's super clever.
Thank you. I mean, I am totally in love with the whole Amazon model, and the fact that through a completely automated API without any human interaction, I can go to Amazon, I can set up a new virtual machine, I can configure all of its specs, I can install a new operating system on it. That's already happened the first time I did the plugin, and that never is even visible to the person. But that machine is where all the magic is happening.
Wow, that's amazing. So
when I
keep
click,
going on your demo here. Yeah,
when I click this link here, this 360 Works, that cloudmail.360works.com, that is actually pointing to that virtual machine at Amazon.
Right.
So when I click this, I want to tell you what's going to happen before it happens, because by the time it finishes, you won't see this happening.
Yeah.
It's briefly going to go to the CloudMail address. The CloudMail address will track that link. It'll track all the statistics on it, and then it will redirect me to the 360 Works. So if you watch carefully in the video, you may see it flash briefly to CloudMail and then change to 360 Works.
Cool. Let's watch that.
So let's do it. I'm going to click it, cloudmail.360works, and then it redirected me.
Forward. Now it bounced to 360works.com.
That's the link that I had in my...
Oh, that's that. Okay,
that's
I see
that.
that. Now, how would we know that you had clicked this? I mean, that's a big part of what you're selling here, is that we have feedback. Do we have the ability to see that?
Yeah.
How does that
Let me come back to that question in 1 second.
That's what I get. I always jump the gun to this.
No, but you're only one step ahead of me.
Okay.
What I wanted to show you was remember the other thing that we customized was the unsubscribe link.
And that works the same way. It has to know who it's unsubscribing.
Exactly. So it substituted that square bracket unsubscribe word with this new link here, and when I click this, it's taking me to that same virtual machine running on Amazon with this form. You can substitute in your own nicer looking form. We just put in a vanilla one here.
Yeah.
But if you want to unsubscribe, you can come here. I'm not going to confirm it because then I have to go in and resubscribe myself.
Right.
But by doing that, CloudMail will remember that you unsubscribed, and it will not permit future emails to be sent to you, even if there's nothing that you actually have to do. You don't even have to actually remove that person from your mailing list.
Right.
It's a good idea to.
Yeah.
But if you forget to, CloudMail will make sure that it doesn't accidentally send to them in the future.
And that's an important thing to consider, because
that's when you get angry customers.
The angry customers. And and in old days, we had that problem because it was more of a manual process. Now for us, we've automated it, and it helps. But for someone to be able to get all this without having to build their own system, this is great.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much a turnkey kind of just put it in, and Amazon does the rest of the work. Now I'm going to jump to your question about how do I know about all that stuff. So I'm going to come back into FileMaker. This is where we left off.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to come down to the results screen.
Yeah.
I've got my two, a get results and a clear results. I'm going to go ahead and get the results. This is now going to that same virtual machine running on Amazon. Yeah. It's downloading all the activity that's happened since the last time I got the results. 11 messages were delivered. That was I sent to a mailing list of 11 people. I had no bounces, no complaints, no unsubscribes. I had 3 message views. So that came up just from us looking at the email. We didn't have to click the link.
We had one open.
I had one open, but every time that I'm switching back to my email program, we stick a tracking image in there, and the Mail app is reloading that. So it's important to realize that that's not necessarily one unique message view.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, that's not 3 unique message views. It's like a hit on a website.
Yeah, it's a view, but one person generated the 3
One person generated 3 hits by looking at that email 3 times.
And what if they bank that email away for 6 months?
That's a good question. We have a retention period. I want to say it's a 90-day retention period.
Yeah. Well, for most part, people, that's their actionable period anyway. But
yes.
I've got people who find emails from over a year ago, and then from our video training, they go, "Hey, Richard, what about this special offer? Oh, that offer was for 30 days or 60 days."
Right,
and they're asking me a year later, more than a year
Right.
later.
It's actually not a big deal to increase that. So if anybody watching this video is put off by the 90-day thing, let me know and I'll bump it up.
Yeah, that's fine. This is super cool. So
here's the
now,
click. Here's the
one click.
The one click that I did.
Now.
And now I've got
this gets into lead scoring, and it's an advanced concept for people, but it has to do with as people interact with your system, you want to score them. And we have some videos where we talk about this. But if you're generating, I guess this gets back to people who are going to use this plugin in the first place. Let me take a step back.
Yep.
People who are going to use this plugin are people who are generating enough content to justify the setup of this. For example, years ago, we didn't do videos every week. Now we do videos every week, and they've been going, and we've got hundreds and hundreds of videos. And so we have enough content to create a campaign to set this whole thing up and to want to track and then assign points if we wanted to do that. But if you do a newsletter once a year or twice a year, I don't know, you're not generating enough content to really...
Well, it becomes a cost factor.
Yeah.
So jumping ahead to the cost of the licensing stuff. So pricing, you've got two components of the pricing. You've got what you pay 360works and you've got what you pay Amazon.
Well, Amazon's basically negligible.
Amazon's almost free.
Almost free.
360works is $395 to the plugin. And that's just a flat fee. That's for unlimited users. That's for server deployment. You can use it with WebDirect. You can run scheduled scripts. You could use it with Perform Script on Server, which means you could actually trigger this from your iPad or phone.
Yeah. Well, that's a really attractive price considering what I paid internally to build our stuff.
Yeah.
I paid a hell of a lot more.
We're amortizing our costs over a wide base.
Wide base, yeah.
So the question really becomes, how long does it take you to break even on that $395?
Yeah.
So, if you're sending out...
I'd say monthly newsletter people probably is where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
Probably monthly. If you're farther than that, it's not really interesting enough to know. If someone clicked it or didn't, doesn't really necessarily gauge their interest. But if you send once a month or even more than that, you're going to want to know who's really clicking on your content.
Yeah.
Right? That's really cool. All right. Well, now, did it import this data when you show me the
It did. Before I forget, let me mention the Amazon pricing component of that.
Okay.
Because I don't want people to not realize that.
Well, it's $9 a month.
It's for the first year.
It's free.
It's free for up to 62,000 emails per month.
All right.
If you go over that limit, it's $1 per 10,000.
Okay.
So it's basically a penny per 100 emails.
Yeah, I know. People need to just... if they're concerned about that, then just please hang up this video and go somewhere else.
I don't think anyone...
the other way.
After the first year, then it's $9 plus about a penny per 100 emails or so.
Well, FileMaker itself is more expensive than this, so yeah. No.
Yeah, so the Amazon portion of this is extremely minimal.
Yeah.
So yes, when we click that Get Results, and I'll click it again, and we should get approximately 0. The reason I say approximately 0 is because actually we did get one message view here.
Who else did you send this to?
This actually, it could be potentially from the fact that I have it open in the background. But another thing is that, remember, these are not specific to the email I just sent out. These are all the emails that I've ever sent with CloudMail. So this could be somebody that I sent.
So this is not a campaign summary. This is for a specific campaign. Like if I do this week and it's campaign 55 or something, then it's different than next week, which is campaign 56.
Right. When we download all these information, they have a foreign key that will relate them back to the campaign.
Right.
But this status message that we're seeing here is across all campaigns.
So this is a total download of fresh activity across all campaigns.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Yep. And so we're seeing everything here. Here's the one click that I made.
Okay.
Here are the times that it was viewed.
Now, relationally, see, this is really okay. So this is cute and clever, but to me, as a business person, I don't care about this. I mean, what I want to do is I want to see how the campaign did in general. One, okay, and then I want to go back to my copy of FM starting point, and I want to see the people who are actively clicking on our campaign material.
Right.
And then it gets into this issue of lead scoring, which is actually another video that we're going to talk about. But that's where every time someone clicks, we're going to give them a couple points. And it's this evolving business that's in the marketplace. Big companies are doing this, is where as you interact with their website, you interact with any of their people, they're giving you little points behind the scenes. It's almost like you're at a country fair and you're collecting points to get some sort of award.
Yeah.
And that's how they gauge whether you're going to be a good customer to sell to or not. FileMaker does this.
Yes.
People don't understand this. FileMaker has a big system they spent tons of money on, and they actually, as people interact with webinars, they interact with personnel and salespeople. They
Everything's
send
scoring
emails. You're getting scored, and as the higher the score goes up, they know you're more engaged, and then you target those people for a phone call and say, hey, don't you think you should buy a license to FileMaker, or you buy a license to XYZ plumbing or whatever you are, because you're showing recurring interest.
Right.
And that's where this drives. So we need this data here to connect back to starting point, so we can see that the person clicked on these 5 or 8 things.
Right.
And so these records that we download are relationally attached to the people that we sent to.
Yeah, let me show you something here. I'm going to go. We have some more raw information about this on this screen right here.
Yeah.
So here is the full information. This is the IP address, so now I can know geographically where that person was when they clicked it.
Sure.
And what I find particularly interesting, here's all the browser information. So I'm seeing in here that this is person running Safari version 6. They're on a Mac. They speak English. And so all of that stuff is coming through.
That's interesting. And you can parse that. Now, what about did we have a key? What relationally are we going to use to connect this back to starting point?
This message ID right here is a key relating to a particular delivery.
Okay, to a particular delivery.
And so the delivery, you know what, let me just jump into the relationship graph.
Well, we could do it based upon email address, right? Could you do it on, you could relationally
yes.
connect it.
That's how you would relate it to an individual.
That's what I'm talking about.
But we want to relate it to 2 different things, really. We want to relate it to the individual as well as the campaign.
And the campaign, because we need to know which campaigns are awesome, which ones stink, and then which people are actively engaged.
Yes,
right?
yes. Yeah. So there is a campaign name field that will relate us back to the campaign.
Yes.
And that campaign name field, you supply that as part of when you call CloudMail, you give it a campaign name. So it could be a descriptive name, like DevCon, or it could be a foreign key, some UUID or whatever, and we don't really care. We just, whatever you give us, we give you back so that you can link it.
Cool.
So a few more things here that might not be immediately obvious is that one is that notice that there is only one mailing list, and it's in FileMaker. When you use a third-party mailing service, a lot of the times what you're doing is you're just exporting CSVs and then putting it over there, and now you've got 2 copies of your mailing list. And then if people subscribe to them, now you're having to pull those back into FileMaker, and it turns into hell trying to...
What happens with Mandrill, and we do use Mandrill with our system, is that the unsubscribes work that way. So when someone...
But if you're using, say, like Constant Contact, for instance, they have their own mailing lists.
Right. Oh, exactly.
Yes.
And Mandrill maintains a mailing list of like the do not fly zone people, right? We're not going to bother these people anymore. And I'm not entirely. We have our unsubscribe. That's a PHP link on the bottom that people click, and that comes back to our database and unsubscribes. But with Mandrill, though, they maintain their own unsubscribe list. However, they do that.
And that's actually something CloudMail does as well.
And
unsubscribes and complaints get stored internally in Amazon.
But for me to integrate those back into our tool, I had some manual process I create, and about once a month I go and re-scrape all those and out of Mandrill. But you're doing it automatically.
Those will actually come into a field that we've got a layout for all the unsubscribes, and we've got a layout for all of the complaints. So whenever you download the results, you'll get those in FileMaker, and it's very easy at that point to just write a script.
How do you handle the difference between, unsubscribe, clearly you're going to unsubscribe, but a complaint,
So the way the complaint works is that an unsubscribe is somebody who just doesn't want to get your stuff anymore.
Right.
A complaint is when somebody contacts their own internet service provider. Like, Yahoo does this, for instance. Yahoo has a button on their webmail thing that you can say, flag this as abuse. That will go to Yahoo. Yahoo will look at the message headers. They'll say Amazon. Yahoo will then go to Amazon and say, hey, you suck. And then Amazon will tell us, hey, you suck.
Yeah.
And
it's funny. We'll do an email blasting and to 15, 18, 16,000, whatever it is, and I'll have out of the blue 2 complaints. And people get on the list because they opt in, but then somewhere along the line they forget they opt in, and then they file a complaint, which I always thought was strange.
Yeah, that happens. But there's more I could talk about, but I think I've addressed most of the highlights.
Yeah, this is the critical pieces. So we can bolt it into starting point or some other CRM.
Yep.
Really, we're going to have a starting point's a single file, so we're going to have a separate single file, so 2 files that stay together.
You could do that. You could certainly just build it straight into the starting point.
But I'm just thinking the easiest way of making life simple, right, for people. and then cross-connect between so we can load the campaigns and mostly load the people in, and then get the results out, at least in terms of the people who are
now,
clicking
it sounds
and
like
opening.
I get the impression that what you're talking about is incorporating this CloudMail FileMaker file into Starting Point.
Well, it's low-hanging fruit. It's what people are going to be asking about in this video. Can I just take your file?
Yes, you absolutely can. But I would say that if somebody really wanted to do this integration the best possible way, you would throw away this entire FileMaker file. You would write your own scripts that would call the CloudMail plugin API and put it directly into your own thing so that you don't have two different mailing lists to keep track of.
Ah, I see.
And then
Well, you'll have to weigh that out because some people, I mean, budget comes into this. But if you're going to take and rebuild this entire thing, I would think that would be, I don't know, 100, 200 hours of work at least. I don't know. That's a lot of work.
you know, I mean, if you look at the actual scripts, here's the script that sends the email. Let's find it. Quick send.
You can just flick through them.
This is it. This is the entire sending script right here.
Right.
Or no, I'm sorry. This is the sending script right here. The other one was for sending a single email.
Right. Right.
It's, you know, it's a page and a half on my 15-inch laptop.
Right, I know.
It's not, we're not talking rocket science here, and you can, for the most part, copy and paste this and then change the field names.
Yeah. Well, that's the relationships. You have to make sure you're storing everything right. I just I'm the person that's going to think I don't even know how to quote this, and that's my concern. Whenever I get to a spot where I don't even know how to quote it because of the amount of work that it is. I mean, like for someone to say, "Hey, we can do this for you. I need it running in a week." There's no way we can build and QA and test a full integration into their
definitely
system
your least path of least resistance is definitely just to use this file.
Yeah, and so I know you folks are pushing people not necessarily to do that, but I see that saying, hey, you're going to give me $20,000 to build this, or we're going to do it for you in a week for $5,000. There's a big difference in those numbers, right?
Yep.
And so
Absolutely.
the question comes into how to balance that. Those are all important questions. So this is extremely cool. So this is actually not even so much a FileMaker solution, although that's, I think, important to understand. It's actually a plugin. All this is wired in the plugin.
Absolutely. The plugin is really what you're getting. The CloudMail file that comes on top of it, you know, it's there for demonstration purposes. You can certainly use it in production, but the plugin is the thing that has the intelligence.
All right, so I have a team of 10 people. We're going to use this, and we have a team of 20 people. We're going to use it. Are we going to put the plugin on our server? Or we just put it on everyone's copy of Pro?
Either or both.
Or do we only have to put it on the machine that's interacting with Amazon?
It totally depends on your workflow for email. If you've got one designated email sending person, that's the only person that you would put it on.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if you wanted to maybe run a scheduled script every night that would send out various emails to various people, then I would put it on the server.
Or on a robot. Depends.
Or on a robot. It's completely server compatible.
Yeah.
So there's no necessary need for a robot, but you could do it that way if you wanted to keep plugins off your server for some reason.
Well, I'm not opposed to having plugins on the server. I'm opposed to major mission critical processes getting on a server and then hanging the server.
It's not going to hang your server. It's going to send it in less than 10 seconds.
Well, you see how I am here. I'm like the critical. I'm the critical audience here, and so for those of you who think that I love Jesse too much, that's not the case. I'm happy to poke holes in his balloon when necessary. And so you're saying it's a pretty lightweight.
It's pretty
plugin.
fast.
It's pretty lightweight plugin.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, another thing about putting it on the server is that makes it compatible with WebDirect, with Perform Script on Server.
Yeah.
All those kinds of things. So if you wanted to make it so somebody can sit on their iPad, tap 100 people that they want to send a message to, and then click Go.
Then it has to be on the server. Yeah,
then it would have to be on the server.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yep.
Well, I have to say, awesome job. Congratulations on this brand new product.
Thank you very much.
1.0 here at DevCon. And so, anything else? So that we could cover the pricing, $359?
$395.
$395.
Yep.
$395.
Pricing is very, very straightforward. It's actually our simplest product.
Simplest
from a
product because there's not a bundle and volume, multiple
there's not
users.
different things for different number of users.
Because really, single users are not going to use this. This is only
single users could absolutely use this. I could completely see
but a one-person company going to come to you and buy this.
If it's a one-person entrepreneurial marketing firm, you know, if it's a real estate agent,
I guess so.
Maybe it's a real estate agent who's got a mailing list of 500 people that he sends realty listings out to, or maybe it's
that could be
an incentive sales manager who's got you know, a bunch of reps that he is coordinating with for promotions and stuff like that. I could definitely see a lot of single-user entrepreneurial things where people are just constantly keeping in touch with their mailing list.
Huh. Yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way because most businesses, when they're small, they add people, but only until they get to a certain size, do they get to the point where they're generating enough content and touching people. Those touches, we're talking people, contact, touches with potential customers.
I mean, this is kind of an extension of social media. There's
It really is.
There are a lot of one-man social media marketing companies out there, and this could be an extension to that.
Well, it's very much an extension because it automates really, you can get messages out there right now. We can do it in the starting point. But to actually know what happened is really what this tool is about. I mean, I know you guys have sold 100 ways, but at the end of the day, I can't justify this unless it comes back and tells me who clicked on it, what they clicked on, how many times they clicked on it. And that's what this does. And that's the absolute critical dollar value to a business. And so, awesome. Well, once again, thank you, Jesse.
Thanks a lot, Richard.
Appreciate it. And this is Richard Carlton, live from DevCon 2015, along with the rest of the 360 people here. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks a lot.